Chapter 7, Cupid's Arrow. When you arrive in your lesson room the next morning, Nate isn't waiting for you there like he usually is. Instead, you find a note. Meet me in the pasture for today's lesson. You have much to learn to impress at the hunting party. I wonder what he has in store today. You hurry to the pasture, curiosity speeding your step. He waves you over. I thought we could take our lesson in plein air today. After all, if you're to attend a hunting party, it's best to prepare accordingly. Let me guess, you'll teach me the etiquette of the outdoor lunch, or how to identify a songbird by its tune. This is where you just look at her and go, here's a gun, enjoy. We will actually focus on the physical arts today. Could he just mean the hunt, or does he mean some other physical arts in mind? Your pulse races at the thought. But the hunt is reserved for the men. I doubt I'll be allowed to join the true festivities. As your tutor, I take your studies very seriously, so I'll teach you anything I deem important. And frankly, the details of drink placement at an outdoor luncheon shouldn't clog anyone's brain. Still, I do find... it's a shame I'll never use the skills. I hear that Philip is rather liberal. Perhaps he'll let you join. I'd hate to bother him with such a last-minute request. What if there isn't enough land for hunting if I'm included? Well, even if you don't hunt during this occasion, you could always host a hunting party here someday. Perhaps. After all, if I were to host, how can a duke say no to me joining the hunt? It would be unconscionably for him to deny you the pleasure, especially if you're already knowledgeable about it. He leads you to a horse he has tied up to a fence nearby. This is Tula. She's especially patient. You'll take good care of us, won't you, girl? Look, they give us horse noises now. Wow, finally, Pixelberry. Thank you. We'll start by learning to ride. I already know how to ride. Shouldn't we focus on a skill I've yet to master? I'm certain you ride well when it comes to riding side saddle, but hunters usually ride astride. You picture your legs over either side of the saddle, your hips fall into rhythm, vibrations growing against your core until... Why am I getting so warm thinking about that? I don't know. I saw the one movie with the chick who played Buffy. She had a thing on horses. Anyway. He watches you closely. His lips curl into a wicked grin as if he can read your mind. You know, I guarantee you some of you are thinking about that film now and you're going, yes, I remember that. You know, riding astride gives hunters much more control during the chase, otherwise they might fall. It's a crucial skill you need to learn before the hunt. But... I'd need to hike up my skirts. Well, luckily there's no one around to see aside from me. The idea excites you. You want him to see your exposed ankle, to touch your bare leg, to hike your skirts up to see more. But there will be others at the hunting party too. You can wear a habit then. The garment should allow you to move more freely without having to overexpose yourself. You run your fingers along the saddle, wondering if its strong, stiff leather could quench the ache between your legs. Let's go for a ride. You see how riding astride feels yourself. You never know the turn the hunting party might take. Campbell did warn me to be more careful on the estate, but if we ride away, no one could possibly see us. Besides, it's amazing how much you can feel in a full straddle. But Nate moves behind you, pressing against your back. His voice is low and rough in your ear. With another rider, your bodies move as one, as though you fly through the forest hunting your prey. His hands brush against your hips. Your breath catches. You gave in to your most primal urges as the chase speeds up, giving in your desperation with every passing second. You clutch your skirts as his descriptions. It's all you can do to keep yourself from melting against him. And when you catch your prey, pure euphoria, release you can't imagine. But you can feel it if you learn to ride astride. You wish to learn astride. I think the lesson might be valuable, but only for the hunting party. If you insist. He hands Tulip a carrot from his pockets. She nibbles at it eagerly, chuffing against his hand. Aren't you a sweet girl? Very. She prefers red apples, but the cook is much less likely to notice a missing root vegetable. He strokes Tulip's nose. Something about his gentleness with the animal draws you in. You imagine him caressing you with your own skin with such tenderness, his fingers running through your hair, pulling you close until you abruptly shake off the thought. If I'm to manage this lesson safely, I need to stay focused on the horse. We'll start with the saddle, and you'll need to mount it differently than you used to. First, grab the horn and push off from the stirrup with your foot. He demonstrates this, raising himself up on the stirrup with his Tulip's support. Then swing your right leg over the horse's back and settle into the saddle. I never knew there was a difference between whatever they were doing before and this one. I've rode a horse and yeah, it's just always been saddle. Like, unless the original method they were talking about was bareback, which that's what we call it in America, but again, this is Europe, so. Grasping onto the back of the saddle, he easily mounts Tulip. Again, the stormy thoughts intrude as you imagine how it must feel to be underneath him with his legs stretched around you. Any questions? You shake off the thoughts as he hops down, stepping away to give you access to the saddle. So, hands on the horn, foot in the stirrup, and you manage to pull yourself up, but the weight of your heavy skirt throws you off balance. You feel yourself tumbling backwards. But before you can fall, he catches you from behind, setting you against his strong frame. The hard planes of his body press against your back, strong arms looping around the curves of your waist. Your breath heaves from the sudden fear of the fall and from the warmth of his skin, bleeding through your thin silks. Careful, Duchess. You struggle to think straight, completely consumed by his arms around your waist, but his figure against your back. I should push back against him, spin around to face him, pull away. Pull away. Flustered, you pull away from him. Butterflies float over you as you force yourself out a breathless sentence. Thank you, but I could have caught myself. The heat of his touch still lingers on you as does his gaze upon your face. His half smile indicates your facade is useless, but he plays along. Of course, Duchess. Perhaps I was too eager to take you in my arms. You mustn't be. This clearing puts us in plain sight of the wandering staff. Right, we wouldn't want anyone to see us mounting. Okay, I feel like a bounce chicka wheel wheel. Or ba-dum-ch, excuse me. At last, Nate steps back, the air rushing in to fill the space between you as he pats Tulips resolutely. Sitting astride something so powerful can take getting used to. That's a kind way of saying I failed spectacularly. He takes your hands between his, letting his fingers brush along your knuckles. His eyes soften as his gaze trails over your face. You're far too quick to deem it a failure. If anything, I fail to instruct you. Let us mount again. I'll be behind you this time. You face Tulip, this time with him at your back. Heat radiates off from his body, sending pinpricks of warmth through you. Though the shock of your fall has subdued, the pounding of your chest remains. Now, from your proximity to him. But could you please demonstrate once more, perhaps more slowly this time? A smile forms at the corner of his mouth as he sees plainly through your request, but for a view of his body mounting the saddle again. I'll show you once more, but then I expect you to follow. He takes the horn in his hand while holding your gaze. Watch carefully. As if I could look away. He slowly lifts up his leg to straddle the creature. Your attention is drawn to the strength of his legs and how tightly his breeches cling them. Oh, to feel those legs straddle me like that. A breath catches in your throat as he adjusts himself into a position with a languid swivel of his hips. From this angle, you can see every inch of him. It takes all your strength not to reach out and touch. Your turn. His voice pulls your body in before you've even processed his words. You hoist yourself up with shaking hands and mimic his motion to mount the horse, settling between his body and the front of the saddle. Are you comfortable? Yes. Then let us begin the lesson. His arms wrap gently around you to take the reins, while you rest your hands tentatively upon his knees. As Tulip starts a slow trot, he rests his chin against your shoulder so he can see what's ahead. Nice and easy to begin with. Let yourself get used to the feeling. With him pressed up against your back in this fashion, a sense of peace washes over you. The danger of this closeness hasn't left, but you've begun to succumb to it. You wish to court it, to live in it. How do the motions feel against you? If it brings you discomfort or irritation, we can slow down or stop. Your hips rock in time to the movement of the saddle thrums against your core. The ride's vibrations ignite a spark between your legs, one that you've never felt riding before. You just know that you need more. No, it feels new. You never knew your body could fit so perfectly in another's. His arms nestling around you, his shapely thighs cradling your legs and hips. When riding astride, the pressure of one's legs can signal to the horse when to start moving. His legs tighten ever so slightly, and Tulip starts to trot ahead. Each bound pushes Nate slightly up against you, building your aching sensation. Perhaps we can move a little faster? Be careful what you wish for, Duchess. His legs press harder against the horse, and against you, but you only feel the relief of his touch for a moment before Tulip shoots ahead. Nate? The force of the forces gallops, bucks your body sideways. Time slows as your body lifts off the saddle and flies ahead. Oh no! Suddenly, his arms grip your waist, holding you firm and pulling you back into the saddle. Try not to fall off, Sophie. That was not funny. Don't blame me. Horses are very sensitive creatures. They can feel your mildest emotion, respond to your slightest touch. It's true. One of the reasons why I love nature. Sounds like a certain someone I know. Me. I've been called a great many things by a great many people, but rarely sensitive. You seem almost attuned to my innermost feelings, even without touching me. I'm flattered, but you wear it all on your face. I doubt I'm as attuned to the smallest of changes within you, not a horse, not as a horse is with its rider. Though I suppose the only way is to find out. His lips find your ear, voice turning low and husky, would be to mount you. You gasp. You don't know if the vibrations of the saddle or the timbre of his words. All you know is that in this moment you hunger for him. You're sure he feels it too. His hand trails up your exposed leg. Your head slumps against his shoulder at his touch. His touch is delicate yet insistent, firm yet feather-lined. You rock harder in the saddle, desperate for friction to slack your thirst. My Duchess, your senses seem rather attuned. And what about yours? Feeling emboldened, you reach a hand behind to touch him, hearing him gasp as your fingers drift up his thighs. Sophie. You stroke his leg and await some clever response. His failure retort tells you that you've turned the tables at this moment with your touch. Who's in control now? Your hand reaches the apex of his thighs, feeling him against your touch. His grip on the reins loosens as he relaxes forward against you. When you've made your point, you retract your hand, smirking to yourself. He lets out a deep chuckle that echoes through your body. Here I was, flaunting my control of the horse, only for you to flaunt your control over me. Does that tell you anything? Maybe I'm ready to take the reins. You gladly take them from him, freezing his hands to settle on the curves of your hips and squeeze your legs to move the horse forward. Faster, Tulip. The horse gallops across the grass, picking up more speed as she moves. The wind whips through your hair, giving you a freedom you've never felt before. But it's freedom that emboldens you to take what you want and demand more. I may still need your instruction, Mr. Pippin. He hikes your skirts up slowly, exposing more of your legs. His fingers caress your thigh, leaving pinpricks of desire in their wake. With pleasure, let us test your steering. He sweeps a hand over your leg, trailing over your inner thigh, close to the heat. His touch burns in you as he speaks. Were it not for the wind in your face, you might have caught fire. If you want to go left, then squeeze your left leg. His fingertips burst across your skin, spreading the sensation all the way down to your toes. You breathe in sharply. Yes. As you steer, delicious pressure builds inside, expanded by the saddle's friction pushing against you. He squeezes your legs once more, stroking the fire inside your thighs. You gasp in amazement. Each gallop sends a jolt of pleasure through you. Oh heavens! And judging by his apparent, your rocks against him are heightening his experience too. You're a natural, Duchess. Dizzy with desire, you bite your lip, fighting back the urge to cry out. His fingertips brush along your thighs, teasing circles. You press down against the saddle, desperate for more friction. Tulip can run much wilder than this. Why don't you give up control, just for a bit? You loosen the reins and Tulip takes the hint, zooming ahead with even more power. Delight rips through your body, slamming you like a hammer with each gallop, while he drops his voice to a sultry whisper. Do you like that, Your Grace? The heat between your legs intensifies. The ache for release. Each time his lips graze your neck, you spark to life, reborn again. It's okay, no one can hear. Let me know how much you like it. Oh, Lord. I had to skip the next one and basically, gave YouTube reasons. Nate skips your waist, or grips your waist tighter, and the sensation vibrates through you. The world is all a delightful brush of colors moving against the wind. Eventually you return to the fence in the pasture, panting and breathless with delight. You turn to look at him for the first time since mounting, his expression soft, collected, but his tone betrays a hint of exhilaration. How do you feel? I feel liberated. It makes me want to try more things I'm not meant to do. It's too bad I can't ride like that anywhere else, in anyone's presence, or ever again, probably. I'm sure you'll find yourself alone on a field again someday. I don't know that I'd ever want to do it alone. Not after experiencing it for the first time with you by my side. His hands brush over your arms, trailing a pat down to rest his fingertips on your waist before stepping down from the horse. You know, there are other ways to create those sensations within one's body. You don't, strictly speaking, need to ride astride. He extends his arms out to help you dismount. Still a tad dizzy, he steadies you, pulling you down to meet him. But I think it's best we save some of that fun for our next lesson. Next lesson? Do you think we were finished for the day? Come along. He ties up the horse at the fence and then starts across the pasture. I can't imagine keeping my hands off of him for another hour. Whatever he's unleashed in you is dangerous. Too late to turn back now. Watching him walk ahead of you, you know that you'd never want to. He leads you through the estate to a range decorated with multiple targets. A fair distance away sits a bow and a quiver of arrows. I thought riding astride was daring, but archery? Surely only men can pursue such physical art. That's art? Bruh. No, it's not. Huntresses have a long history. Just think of Diana. If we were practiced long enough, perhaps she'll smile down upon us at the hunting party. I just never heard of a woman taking it up as a hobby. You're the Duchess of an extensive estate. Why shouldn't you enjoy all of this land? Besides, I think you'll enjoy the thrill of launching an arrow at a target. Are you as skilled with a bow as you are with your words? Yes, but not as skilled as I am in other physical activities. But and what activities would those be? His eyes gleam with mischief as he saunters towards you. I know how to please a woman, make her skin flush and hot with need. Even as he speaks, his words make your cheeks warm, your body ache, a flash of desire runs through you. Is that so? I think you can answer that for yourself. He watches you like a lion stalking his prey. His gaze pierces your whole being. After a lingering moment, you clear your throat, turning back to the archery range. Perhaps we should continue with the lesson. He smirks, then hands you a bow. His fingers brush against yours as you take it. Watch me carefully and do what I do. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart. He turns to the target, adjusting his posture, relaxing his shoulders. You mimic him, your eyes not leaving him. He knocks the arrow and holds the bow up, tapping the string with his fingers as he talks. Grip the string like this. He draws the bow back until the string reaches his cheeks. Then aim and release. His arrow shoots through the air, hurling towards until it hits the bullseye with a satisfying smack. You didn't say you were so skilled. I have many skills you have yet to be seen demonstrated, Duchess. Let's see you try. Listen, he's like Palpatine. There are many things. Some. I can't. I'm good at everything. You move your feet apart, aligning yourself with your target. You knock an arrow and draw the bowstring back. Imagine you've just spotted an animal in the woods. You have just a few seconds to act. Don't think, just do it. I aim at the center. You swiftly release the bow, sending the arrow flying towards the target. It hits the second ring with a middle, just barely missing the center. Pretty good for a beginner, no? Perhaps Diana has blessed you after all. It is that simple, but then it's not that simple. It's trajectory, range, you know, the arrow has a drop off, you know, things like that. You do have a good natural form, but a few subtle changes would make you a force to be reckoned with. He moves behind you, placing his hands over yours. Heat radiates from his touch, spreading as he adjusts your arm. Knock the arrow, let it rest against your fingers. As he eyes the target, he presses his cheek against yours. The soft sensation flutters across your skin. Your fingers should almost graze your cheek, like this. He curls his hand around your own and helps you draw the string back, the tips of his fingers drifting over the soft skin of your cheek. Slowly, he drops your arm, but it doesn't move away. His murmurs find your ear. Picture what you want to happen, and then release. You loosen your fingers, and the arrow soars across the field and straight into the bullseye. You clutch his arm as you get excitedly point at the target. Did you see that? Like I said, you're a natural. Perhaps the realm of physical is more where you excel most. Oh, and what about my delightful mind? And what can I say that I haven't said before? I'm sure you can think of a few things. If I speak too highly of you, you might become like a narcissist and completely in love with yourself. If I were to say something about your mind, it'd be that you continue to impress me every day. You are exceptionally clever, and I'd never met anyone as eager to learn as you. His eyes are sincere. Holding steady with yours, your heart swells with pride at his praise. You do flatter me. I only speak the truth. He leans into you, his eyes heavy with suggestion, your lips part as he instructs. Now try shooting again on your own with all things physical. It's important to be confident in control. But surely one should try to learn from those that are more trained to the endeavor. But there's nothing more satisfying to both parties than to watch a student find her own pleasure. Tearing yourself away from the storm in his eyes, you knock another arrow. You inhale sharply, pulling and releasing the arrow on the target. It's no bullseye. The more you practice, the more your body will respond to your desires, and when you hit the perfect spot, under his sensual gaze, a thrill runs over your body. You knock the arrow, draw it back, and send it flying. It sails, easily hitting the bullseye. You gasp, wrapping your arms around him. The light vibrates through every inch of you. And yeah, no, you can't always hit every single bullseye. I did it. I can't believe it. You're capable of more than you believe, Duchess. An aim like that would put Cupid to shame. Sounds like you've had too few encounters with Cupid. His eyes drop to your lips, and he raises a hand to your face, lightly grazing a thumb over your cheek. His arrows always seem to miss my heart, but if you're the one holding the bow, let's just say I'm in trouble. His touch seems to set you aflame, leaving you dizzy as it tears through you. If I'm in trouble, it's only because you've emboldened me. You've armed me with tools to strike you in the heart. His eyes lower, tracing the long column of your throat, before lingering on the gentle swells of your breasts. You feel an almost irresistible urge to draw even closer to him, to press yourself along every inch of his body. Just say the word. I'll quiver my arrow. But he doesn't say a thing. Instead, his hand cradles your hip, reeling you in. Your bosom heaves as an all too familiar heat floods through you. Yes, the exertion has been too much. Drawing in a sharp inhale, he moves away, but his eyes linger on your form. Perhaps it would be wise to cool ourselves before heading back to the house, to avoid any possible danger. Suddenly aware of the sweat you've worked up from today's exertion, you realize he's right. It's not just the heat inside you affecting you today. I spotted a pond while I was scouting the grounds earlier, quite secluded. A quick dip would surely help us feel less heated, don't you think? Us swimming together. It dawns on you that what he's proposing, he'll have to strip down, and so will you. The heat within you rises at the very thought. You imagine his eyes raking over every inch of you. Seeing him similarly exposed, it's almost too much to bear. Go for a swim. A swim sounds like a marvelous idea. You've always wondered what he looks like underneath his clothing. You wouldn't pass up this opportunity. It would be good for our health, no? Surely. We can't have you getting overheated, Duchess. You follow him to a secluded pond hidden behind the trees. A clear blue ripples across the water, and a gentle breeze brushes over your skin. How did I never know such a lovely place existed on the grounds? As I said, it's quite secluded. The estate is very extensive. I'd venture to say we run almost no risk of seeing another soul while we cool off. He swiftly tosses off his coat and begins to undo his cravat. You swallow hard at the sight. Are you sure that no one will see us? I can't help but wonder if we're too exposed. We have trees surrounding us on every side. No one will ever think to look for us here. But if you're having second thoughts, I can always swim alone. He turns away and unbuttons his vest, no doubt aware that your gaze hasn't moved from him. Next, he untucks his shirt, then drops his breeches. You hold your breath in anticipation. Finally, he pulls his shirt over his head, revealing the rippling muscles of his back. Can't imagine this is how normally undresses. He stands before you in his drawers only, turning to give you a view of everything. Imagine how it would feel to trail your fingers over his chest to carve each individual muscle. Are you quite alright, Sophie? You're looking a bit lightheaded. I'm fine, just a little parched. Of course you're thirsty. Then I suggest we jump in before the heat gets to you. Your body screams now, aching for a relief as he adjusts to the waistband with his thumbs, revealing the V-shape of his muscles just below his waist. Your hand drifts almost instinctively up your body to remove your own clothing, and it's all you can do not to tear them off at this point. Are you coming, or will I have to enjoy this on my own? But I'm serious. You can't make this shit up. With a final teasing glance, he wades into the pond, giving you a view that you can only describe as perfection. Go on ahead, I'm right behind you. If you insist. You sneak behind a tree, then fight with your clothes, pulling laces, tugging at your dress, removing petticoats, stockings alike. You peer around the tree to watch him. He floats to the pond, the water lapping against his smooth skin. His now soaked undergarments cling to his body, revealing his entire figure. He looks heavens. When you've stripped to your shift, you watch him carefully running your hands down your body, wishing they were his. Your hands drift between your legs to relieve that burning desire, and then he wades deeper into the pond, the water now to his neck. If I want to see more, feel more, I'll have to plunge right in with him. You steel yourself and approach the pond's edge, catching his attention. A low hum escapes his lips when he turns to see you. Now I wish I had Campbell's job. I'd see this much of you more than often. You step into the pond, the cool water gliding over your skin, gentle as a caress as it moves over your calves, up your thighs and higher. Refreshing, isn't it? Very. He swims closer to you, arching through the water with grace. Your gaze follows his hands as he idly cups the water onto his body. Droplets cascade over his chest, trickling along the hard lines of his muscles. Through the fabric of his breeches, you can see every inch of him. Enjoying the view. Modesty is in the list of virtues you emphatically do not possess. His foot kisses your bare leg beneath the surface of the pond, and you fight to keep still, even as your lips part in anticipation. I've always found vice far more rewarding, but if you want modesty... His knees move between your own, gently parting them. You gasp at the feel of his fingertips as they curve up your thigh. Nate, you are in luck. Water has a way of diffusing light. No one can see what might be happening beneath the surface. I believe we could touch anywhere we please. And does this please you? You capture his hands and slide them on your hips beneath the surface. Despite the shift between you, it's like your skin is on yours. Without a doubt. His fingers trail up that delicate curve there, tracing along your ribs before grasping your breast. Oh. You wrap your arms around his neck to anchor yourself. His palm presses against the wet, clingy fabric, bringing your... Okay. The sound of a horse, and then did they see us? I don't think so. The pond is well hidden by the trees. You sigh, the carriage's sudden appearance turned the fire pooling in your belly to smoldering embers. We should get back. Whoever that is will be at the house soon. The two of you swim back to the bank, wring out your underclothes before changing. As the gentle rays of the sun warm you, you gaze at him fondly. I've never had such a diverting swim. Surely you have gone swimming before. Of course, but this is different. It's freeing to be with you. I couldn't agree more. I've grown fond of our little adventures. Cups your cheek, gently stroking your soft skin. You lean into his touch, letting him cradle your head. Let it escape having adventures like these. His gaze sends your heart fluttering in your chest. There's a tenderness in his eyes you've never seen before. Nothing would delight me more. When you arrive at the back of the house, you find a mysterious visitor waiting in the drawing room. Miss Fortenier, I was not expecting you to call. Have you been well? Exceedingly. The weather has been quite agreeable. It's a shame Lady Adeline doesn't share my vigorous health, poor dear. However, you have the glow of a learned woman, Your Grace. Your eyes look to Nate, who was your cheek swarming at the thought of your intimate lesson today. I just finished showing the Duchess about the properties of water. You're sure Miss Fortenier doesn't catch the subtle smile you and him share, but your heart warms at the thought. I suppose that's one way to describe that lesson. How fascinating. So unique for a Duchess. He's been teaching me many things, like classic poetry of John Donne, particular customs of the French, how Cyrenaic sees the day. We'll just go with John Donne. You recall learning about Donne's scandalous works and the fire that bloomed inside you, even then, for him. Lady Adeline used to adore poetry, though her eyesight is not what it once was. How unfortunate. Where are my manners? Shall I call for some tea? We can discuss whatever business you came here for. Actually, I came to see Mr. Pippin. Me? I'm honored. But what's the occasion? I was hoping to hire you. I thought it would do my memory some good. Once Her Grace's studies are completed, of course. She wants to what? I mean, he is a tutor. Ever since the party, I've been quite taken with the idea of a tutor, and today's more proof that you're clearly doing Her Grace a world of good. Do you know when you might be available? I'm quite eager to get started. You stare at him with wide eyes, trying to catch his gaze, but he's squarely focused on Miss Fortenier. Tell her you can't tutor her. Tell her I'm the only pupil you could ever want. Tell her, Nate. I expect we should be finished up in a matter of some months. If you're willing to wait, I'd be happy to consider the offer. What? Miss Fortania raises her eyebrows at you, quickly smooth yourself over, plastering a polite smile on your face. Forgive me. I believe I was just heard my housekeeper calling. Excuse me. Do call if you need anything. You hurry out of the drawing room, distraught at his words echoing your ears. Desperate for a distraction, you head to the lessons room, blindly grabbing a book of poems off the shelf, but your thoughts swirl in your head erratically, making it impossible to focus on the pages. Surely it can't mean to leave so soon. We've only just begun our lessons. And why would he kiss me like that? That if he knew he was planning to leave. Woman, you are married. This is how it works, doesn't it? This is how it works. Do I really mean that little of him? Was I wrong about all of it, even after giving in to my feelings? Before you can sort your thoughts, he strides into the room wearing the same confident smile as always. Since the hunt is next week, let's go over animal tracking. We'll start with the basics. Really? We're not going to even discuss what you said to Miss Fortania? When were you planning to tell me that our lessons are ending? What is there to discuss? You're making considerable progress. Surely you knew I wasn't going to stay forever. But what if I want to keep learning? Ever since you've arrived, you've opened my world to endless possibilities. I've always thirsted for knowledge, and you've aided me in that pursuit. I'm glad that I've helped you, but that doesn't mean I can continue teaching you indefinitely. Then, if you always meant to leave, why lead me to believe? That is, why would you kiss me? Did you not enjoy it? You must know that's not the point. Sophie, His eyes soften, and for a moment it looks like he wants to say something, but he steadies himself and holds his tongue. His eyes narrow and he drops her gaze. His body stiffens as he speaks. If it's too difficult, then perhaps we should maintain some distance, Your Grace. I enjoy tutoring you, and there are things I deeply enjoy about our time spent together. He steps close to you, his hand flexing, as he barely restrains himself from grazing your arm. I would be lying if I said I didn't yearn for your touch or relish our stolen kisses. He inhales sharply and steps back, turning his body away from you. But regardless of how I feel, this arrangement has always been destined to be temporary. Icy shards drop straight into the pit of your stomach. But as lovely as our time together has been and continues to be, I see no reason to change that plan. His voice is firm, his words reverberate through your body, pushing an avalanche of dread down your spine. You reach a hand out towards him, waiting for him to take it to reassure you, like he always does, but your fingers are left lingering in the air alone. You're married. What else? Like, seriously, you're married, woman. Just, alright, whatever. We'll get to this here in a second. Remember that if you did enjoy the video, to like, share, and subscribe. Head down the description of the video, plenty of things there. So, let's get into this. So, you're married. That's all I have to say. You either give up this marriage, this facade of love that you and the Duke have, and pursue this man, which, you know, again, if he lives so freely and doesn't have feelings for you besides physicality, right? Like, ladies, listen, can we have a moment, just me and you? Okay. So, if someone is not willing to be more, and this is something that I have continued to echo about choices for a while, there is more to love, to life, than physicality. Seriously, there's more. Like, it's nice to enjoy those stolen kisses and moments and things like that, right? You don't always have to end them with bow chicka wow wow, right? However, yes, I'll be honest with you, it is nice to let that beast rear its head every once in a while. I get that. Okay? No one can deny human need urgency, things like that, right? Like, you can restrain it, you can temper it, but it's still there, it will be there, and you don't want to make it some old ragged dog that doesn't want to get up anymore inside yourself, okay? Trust me. But why is she, our character, so upset by the fact you're married? Were you going to have this love affair continue to escalate and risk, losing everything through you being in the wrong and, all this other stuff? Were you gonna keep this going on? Like, how long? Like, apparently you're upset with months of this going on, and like, were you gonna keep this going on for years? Were you gonna keep this going on until the Duke died and you inherited everything, and then you're like, finally we can be together. Oh wait, you're just a lowly tutor. I have to marry someone of upper echelon. But you can continue loving me, correct? Like, come on. Right? You get where I'm going with this. Anyway, you know what to do. Thanks for watching. Now to do more chapters. Bye.